Yes, I play.
Ciao YouTube and welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, I'm Gaia, I'm a proud Italian living in London. I work as a graduate research analyst for a startup company here in London, and I'm a health and fitness enthusiast. But today we're not going to talk about fitness. There is no workout video, what I eat in a day, weekly vlog and all that kind of stuff. Today I'm going to talk about how I got my job into the middle of a global pandemic. Also how you get a graduate job when your background is not economics, finance, business, and you want to get into some kind of economics, finance, business related kind of role. I studied psychology as a bachelor degree and I worked as a personal trainer part-time during my studies. Yes, in the last year I got a master's degree in finance, but that's not really what it got me where I am now. So the last year, it hasn't been a very easy year for many different reasons. I was definitely in the very privileged position of complaining about the restrictions while in the comfort of my own house. Yes, I was still complaining about I couldn't travel home, I couldn't go see my family, see my dogs, spending time with friends, not being able to go to the gym, while I still had a roof over my head, I was still able to pay for rent here in London, and I was able to still study and take my exams from the comfort of my own house. The very first lockdown in the UK began in March 2020, and this was when I was still doing my master's degree at Queen Mary University of London. I started the master in September 19 and I finished it in September 2020. So at that time I was still doing my master, and all of a sudden we were told that we had to take classes online and that our exams would be online as well. Sounds nice, right? I'm not going to lie, I definitely had some benefits from this situation. For instance, I got all of a sudden 3 hours more in my day because I didn't have to travel to uni anymore, as the journey was taking me an hour and a half to go, an hour and a half to come back, and then all I had to do was to travel 15 seconds from the kitchen to my studio to begin my study day. Plus, as a very anxious person like I am, taking exams from the comfort of your own house, at the beginning, yes, it may feel weird, but then it does help, and it does remove the stress of having to travel to uni with all the uncertainty of public transport, having to find a room where to take the exam. Again, all I had to do was to ensure that I had a good internet connection and that I wasn't going to be disturbed. All I had to do was to ensure that I had a good internet connection and that I wasn't going to be disturbed. So I had to write my dissertation during summer. And I remember at the beginning of the year, you know, when you read all the documents that you're given at the beginning, they were stating clearly that during the time of your dissertation writing, so after you've done all your exams and everything and you're just writing your dissertation, you were not allowed to leave the UK. You were not allowed to leave London because you had to go to uni during that time and have regular meetings with your tutor, with your dissertation supervisor, and those meetings could not be carried out via Skype for no reason, because of course they were imagining students to travel back home, etc. Guess what happened? I had to do all my meetings via Skype. That also meant that on July 3rd, I was able to travel back home to Italy, and that's where I stayed until I found a job. As I said, I don't come from a traditional finance economics background. I studied psychology as my bachelor degree, and then I got this master's degree in investment banking. Sounds cool, yeah? And at the moment, this industry is valuing some diversity among its workforce. And really the application process, it is open to everyone. So I embarked in the endless training process of online applications. I was applying everywhere. At that point, I knew that I didn't want to do something strictly related to finance or something strictly related to psychology, but rather find a place where I could blend the two subjects together. I really don't know how many places I applied to. I knew I did around 10 big applications to places where I really wanted to go, to places where I really could picture myself working there, but then the rest was actually a bit random, and to be honest, that's how I found the job where I am. Amending your CV and cover letter tailored to each of the roles you're applying for can be draining. but that's really what makes a difference in an application process. Already the job market in London is quite competitive, plus a global pandemic with pay cuts, reduced working hours made the process even more difficult. Only when your CV and cover letter gets accepted by some random software looking for keywords, then you get it eventually an interview or you go through the application process. Yes, a random software looking for keywords. Do you actually think that there is an actual human beings going through thousands of CVs and cover letters? No. I've attended many workshops on how to write your CV, write your cover letter, to go through this first application process. For example, one of the first things they look at, they take your CV, and if it's not perfectly in line, like the dates are not in line, your titles, your previous titles are not in line, that's first of a sign of a rejection, because it means that you have not put enough effort into your CV. As well as your cover letter, there is a specific structure that it has to follow, and it has to be tailored to the role that you're applying to. You cannot pretend to apply with the same cover letter to 10 different roles. No matter if it is the same job title, the same department, it's still a different company, you will still have to say different things, you will still have to show your motivation to work in that specific company for that specific reason. When writing a cover letter, that comes my second tip. Make every experience count. You may think, what is the problem of getting a graduate job? You have no other experience. They ask you for previous experience, situations where you show leadership skills, proactive skills, whatever they ask in those kind of application processes. And you're like, well, I haven't got a job yet. How am I supposed to, answer to these questions? And that's where you have to start thinking outside the box. They are not asking for you to already bring the experience that you had from a previous job. That's your first job. It's okay to have no first experience, but that's when it comes your personality and your attitude in showcasing yourself. Make every experience count. You worked as a waitress over the summer and you may think, what the heck does this have to do with this job application that I'm doing? Well, to me, it showed that instead of going to the beach with your friends, you were proactive in finding a job and put some money on the side. It showed that you already have experience with working with clients, handling clients' demands, clients' needs, clients' complain. It shows that you're able to work in a team because you wanted to make every shift successful, and so you had to coordinate with your teammates. There are so many things that you can say. So my main tip is to sell yourself. It's a sales process. That's what it is. During my interview of the job role where I'm currently at, they didn't ask me about my grades. They barely asked me about my master's degree in finance. They didn't, at that time, I didn't even know that I got a first in my degree, and I'm pretty sure that they still don't know that I got a first because they don't care. Everything they care is that you can actually do the job and that you're willing to learn. That's what is required from your graduate role. Everything they asked me from my interview was my experience as a personal trainer. Why? Because that showed that first I was creative in finding a part-time job that was reflective of my passions, to put some money on the side. It also showed that I was proactive in setting my own business, showed that I had skills in working with clients one-to-one, and these sort of things. That's the sort of things that you want to talk about in your application. But again, it has to be relevant with the role that you're applying for. And one tip that I have for this is when you look at the job that you're applying for, job description, what they are looking for, you know how they use specific keywords. So you're looking for a leader, someone with problem-solving skills, someone with leadership skills. My tip would be to use your experience to kind of match those keywords. So leadership skills, you can say how when you were working as a waitress, maybe your manager was sick or something and you had to be in charge of the whole team, and that evening was the most successful evening of your career as a summer waitress, something like that. And again, you can use the same experience to match different abilities. That's when it comes to your skills and your actual willingness to apply for the job. So main tips: get your CV and your cover letter right, targeted to the specific role you're applying for, and sell. yourself. Then, after going through the first stage of the application process, especially if you're applying for a graduate role in a big firm, most likely you're going to be asked to take psychometric tests, some form of psychometric test. These could be in the form of situational judgment, maths-based numeric test, personality test. There are so many, and every firm has its own, so it's really important that you get familiar with the test before attempting it. No, I don't believe that these tests actually tell how good of an employee you're going to be, but they act as a filtering mechanism at an early stage of the application process. Like, you have to imagine these big firms with thousands of applicants every year. How can they get to the how can you filter out all those people to get to maybe 10 or 20 to invite to the assessment center day? As any kind of test, you slowly get better with practice. I myself was, and probably still am with some of them, really bad at them, but I slowly got better. And there are plenty of resources online, and especially every firm will have their kind of test. So it is really important that you get familiar with the format before attempting the real thing. And again, there are plenty of resources online. So my main tip is just apply, because the more applications you do, the more you get better at it. The more you get familiar with the different formats, and the higher is your chance to do better. At a later stage of the application process, you're probably going to be retested again at some point, either at a second interview or during an assessment day. So let's talk about assessment days in 2020, 2021. Of course, because of COVID, they don't take place in the actual offices of the firm, but they do take place online, and it is quite weird. It feels very long, the day feels endless as you go through the different tasks while you sit in front of your computer with strangers on the other side. So long story short, I finished my master's degree in September 2020, and I started working as a graduate 7th December 2020. So yeah, you could say that I found a job pretty quickly considering the situation. And no, while I was writing my dissertation, I was too focused on it to properly look for a job, because when you look for a job, especially if it is your first one, it is a job in itself. It takes time, it takes the gut to get rejections and keep going. My main point is really apply, and learn how to sell yourself. My main takeaways are: fix your CV and cover letter. If you want me to do a specific video on it, maybe I could show you how I structured my CV, how I structured my cover letters for the different roles I was applying for. Every little experience count. Make every experience count. Sell yourself. Practice, and for practicing, it means that you have to apply. If you haven't sent at least 10, 15, 20 applications per day, you're not trying hard enough. I'm sorry, you have to put your mind to it. Applying for a graduate job is a job in itself. It takes time, it takes guts to get rejection and keep going. And ultimately, you have to get into the mindset that every firm has developed their own way of managing an application process, and you have to get familiar with it if that's the route that you want to go for. I feel like there are a lot of things that I could say more, as well as expand on some parts, such as fixing your CV and cover letter. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, as it helps a beginner YouTuber like me, and I'll see you guys into the next one. Bye! How to write a cover letter.
This is from 2017, before I found my job now, and how much I hate and I cringe. My academic curriculum and professional experience has enabled me to develop strong qualitative, analytical skills and a high moral fiber. I'm passionate about the internship program at Morgan Stanley because it would further develop my quantitative skills, like if I had it prior. Enable me to immerse myself in a multi-sector evaluations and research. It's not even a correct sentence. And undoubtedly provide a stepping stone for a successful career in financial services. I just called Morgan Stanley a stepping stone. That's why I didn't get the job.
How to not write a cover letter.